Example 3. Last kind of this. So here's what's given. You're going to be given tangent of alpha, and that value is -8. You're also going to be given sine alpha is greater than 0. So sine's positive. Here's what we need to find. We're going to have to find sine alpha, and we're going to have to find cosine alpha. Okay, let me just reposition this a little bit. All right, so again, if you look at the given info, I have 2 pieces of info, but I only have 1 known. So this is definitely a Pythagorean identity question. And you have to use the one that has the given info in it. So I can't use the top one, sine squared plus cosine squared, because I'm given tangent. So I'm going to use the one that has tangent in it. And remember, that's going to equal secant squared. We're just going to plug in and solve, guys. So here we go. Let's go ahead and drop that value in for tangent. That was a -8. Don't forget we're going to square that. And we're just going to chip away here and solve for secant. All right, guys, -8 squared is 64. 64 plus 1 is 65. So 65 is going to equal secant squared of alpha. I am going to square root both sides. And then hold on. So remember, this is tangent. And tangent is the quotient of sine over cosine. Tangent's negative. Sine is positive. If tangent's negative and sine is positive, what does cosine have to be? A negative divided by a positive is negative. It has to be negative. It has to be negative. So if cosine is negative, which it has to be, then its reciprocal has to be negative. So the only answer for this is -√65. Secant is a reciprocal of cosine. Cosine has to be negative because sine is positive, tangent is negative. So here we go with secant. But again, all that stuff in my work, I didn't really need secant. I need cosine. That's going to be easy. We're just going to flip this upside down. So cosine of alpha is going to equal -1 over √65. We just got to clean up that denominator. So cosine alpha is going to be -√65 over 65. All right, one more thing we got to find. The next thing we have to find is we have to find sine alpha. You're given 2 unknowns, so I don't have to use the trig identity. I'm going to use the quotient property for tangent. And remember, the quotient property for tangent is going to be sine divided by cosine. All right, here we go. We know tangent's -8. We don't know sine. Oh, I'm sorry, I used the wrong letters, guys. We're on sine alpha, so I need to write the correct variable. I'm going to write alpha. But I do know what cosine is. Cosine is -√65 over 65. So to solve for sine, we're just going to multiply both sides by this denominator. So So negative 65, root 65 over 65. Okay, those go away. Here we go with sine alpha. Now remember, two negatives multiplied together is a positive. Woo! And that goes with that piece of given information. We're going to have a positive answer for sine, so our work is looking pretty good. So negative root 65 times 8, that's just a root 65 over 65. Nothing else can be simplified. You don't have to rationalize any denominator. I'm just going to copy this in my blank up here. So this is going to be 8 root 65 over 65.